With the second pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Marcus Mariota.
Mariota under center, dropping, looking, firing. He's got Delaney Walker. Touchdown! Titans! Mariota rolling right, throws. Fowler. Yes! He caught it! Mariota's got it. Short drop. Looks. He's getting pressure. He got hit as he threw into the end zone. Touchdown! Looking. Throws back across the field.
What a play.
Touchdown! Titans win in the Big Easy.
Marcus Mariota, Troy Polamalu, Junior Seau all have one thing in common that separates them from other NFL players. That's the fact that they share the pride, strength, and courage that embodies the Polynesian culture. And with Notre Dame offensive tackle Ronnie Stanley set to be drafted, he's the latest in a long and growing line of Polynesian players primed and ready to make an impact in the league. Steve Wyche with their story.
The legacy of Polynesians in pro football is deep, but this past year was something truly special. The late Junior Seau became the first Polynesian voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Troy Polamalu, the spectacularly frenetic yet humble warrior, retired after a stellar 12-year career. Quarterback Marcus Mariota was selected second overall in the 2015 NFL Draft, the highest drafted Polynesian ever. And 5 of the top 66 players drafted in 2015 were of Polynesian descent.
Why do you think football is such an important part of the fabric?
It embodies our culture, without a doubt. We come from a deep history of farmers, self-sustainers, fishermen, warriors, everything that requires physical labor. And we exercise that.
I honestly don't know that there's a sport that embodies more of a people and a culture than American football does, because it's not a sport that's native to us. We've learned it from Americans. As we have immigrated to the States, we gravitated to that sport because it's the closest to what our culture embodies. We're warriors.
It's kind of the way we live. Growing up in Hawaii, it was always about, what high school you're going to go to, what high school you're going to play football for. Football is just such a big deal.
Humility, discipline, everything that our culture embodies permeates each and every one of us, and we just are able to display that on the field.
While Seau, Polamalu, and former Pro Bowl talent Wyche and Jesse Sapolu are among the most revered Polynesian players ever, it is Mariota, entering his second season with the Titans, who's looked to as the special one.
You heard all the reasons why Marcus was so highly sought after during the draft, because the other quarterback, Jameson Winston, had all kinds of issues off the field. And Marcus's record off the field was clean. And yet I think people thought, well, he may be great off the field, but we don't know whether his game translates to the NFL. It took all of one quarter to figure out that his game does translate.
Mariota, quick throw, he's got it to right. End zone, touchdown! Titans!
I feel that any Polynesian athlete feels a responsibility to represent where they come from and their family in the best way. So I guess I do feel, some sense of responsibility in that aspect. But really, I hope this opens up the door for the guy to go number one.
A banner year for Polynesian football, which started last year at the draft, comes full circle this year at the draft with the emergence of Notre Dame tackle Ronnie Stanley, who is of Tongan descent and leads the next wave of Polynesian upstarts. Stanley understands he's not just playing for his family and team, but for his culture.
I'm kind of taken back a little bit. It's really impressive how many Polynesians have been in the NFL. It's all about the culture, and that's what we all represent. We go out there on the field. We know what we're playing for. We know what we're representing every day.
Well, you just saw him. Steve Wyche live on the scene. Steve, great piece. What really drew you to this story, man?
Well, first off, our son goes to the University of Hawaii, and sometimes you're just driving down through Oahu, and you see parks of young kids having padded practices like in the middle of May. They really, football is absolutely part of the culture. And then I think the fact, too, I do a lot of stuff for the network for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Sure. And when Junior Seau was selected last year, when he was inducted last year, all of the things that the people who played with him and played against him had to say about him, you're kind of like, there's something a little bit more there than just a bunch of Polynesians playing in the NFL for years. There's something deeper than just the fact that these are good, tough football players.
You talk about the toughness of the Samoan and the Polynesian players. Put into perspective what it meant when Junior Seau went into Canton.
I wish I could put it into perspective. Look, when you show up there, and you know Junior's going in, and Junior was the first Polynesian to go, and there's so many Polynesian folks in the audience. You know, Jesse Sapolu, who I'm very close to, was there, kind of led a brigade, Junior's parents. And then I'm there with his kids backstage because, you know, I interviewed Sydney Seau, his daughter, for the speech. And you just see how much it meant. Before they talked about him as a football player, they talked about his parents, his family, and his culture. And that is kind of the meaning and the fabric of, I think, all the Polynesian football players that you see. They talk family and culture before they talk football. And it's very, very important to them.
And keep this in mind, he won't be the only one going in, because the guy you also saw in the piece, two of my favorite players for the Steelers were Ike and Tina. Tina was and Troy Polamalu, because he had the Tina Turner hair.
Excellent.
That guy's going in. Yeah. And he's going to moonwalk into the Hall of Fame. So I think this is just the beginning of a lot of players.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of guys coming down the pike that we know. I mean, just think about back in the day, you know, Mosi Tatupu and the Noga brothers. And
Danny Salamua, I played for Kansas City, a great nose guard for many years.
I remember playing against Hawaii when I was at Fresno State, and they were the most passionate group. I mean, whether they were, you know, below 500 or competing for conference championships, those guys always played with passion, and they finished tackles too. That was one thing the Polynesian kids was like, they're going to hit you, but they're going to take you into the ground and try and finish you. So always fun to play against and very competitive.
Yeah, before we got into the story, Steve, we talked about pride, courage, strength. Would you add humility to that list?
Oh, 100%. I mean, you know, Jamie loves to talk about Troy Polamalu being this. But when's the last time you've seen a Polynesian player bring attention to himself? Troy did with his hair, but not with the embellishment of things. And look, I co-MC an event with the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame. I do stuff with June Jones out there in Hawaii, Polynesian Cultural Center out there.
You love those free trips, don't you?
You better believe it. But you know, when you see, it's not just the players who come back to honor other players, which is the case with a lot of events. The whole island, Brian Baldinger did this with me, and he emceed a big event there, and there were about 800 people from the island who showed up. And it went from this event to us roasting a pig roadside on the North Coast to everybody being involved. This is everything. Family and culture is everything to these people, and it's all about, I'm the setup for the next one.
All right. Next time you go to the 50th state, you have to bring me with you.
You got it. It's on.
Swine is always good.
Because next hour,